We are Anka. Stay tuned for updated real news.
Hello, Anka Daily News viewers. The tension in the ongoing war between Ukraine and Russia is getting more intense every day. Since the beginning of the war, major clashes in strategically important regions have pushed both sides to their military and psychological limits. But these days, the course of the war has taken a completely different turn, with the dramatic collapse of one of Russia's most prestigious units, the elite battalion, on the Kursk front. In the historically significant Kursk region, the Ukrainian army created a turning point by wiping out Russia's vaunted elite battalion. The significance of this event is not only based on a military level, but also in terms of the psychological aspect of the war. While the intense fighting in the early days of the Kursk offensive appears to be behind us, the latest reports from the region suggest that the Ukrainian army is still holding its ground there. The destruction of one of Russia's strongest units has sent a shockwave through Moscow's leadership. An important question has now emerged for decision-makers in Russia. What will happen on the remaining fronts of the war after the failure at a strategic point like Kursk? A closer look at the developments have revealed not only the military consequences of this operation, but also its broader implications for the Russian military's fighting capacity. Ukraine's successful completion of such a critical operation reveals the extent of the demoralization in Russia and the fragility within the military. As the news from Kursk continues to shake the Russian command, it remains to be seen how Moscow will respond later in the war. If you're ready, let's take a look behind the scenes of this epic operation. Before we get into our report, a quick reminder. The Anka Daily News team is definitely 100% real. None of my team members or me are artificial intelligence. There's no doubt that AI is extremely advanced, but it's still not as good as us. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our daily reports and explanations. I do read all the comments you leave on our videos, so please continue to share your ideas about our content in the comments section. Tell us in the comments what content you'd like to see on the Anka Daily News channel. And now let us begin if you're ready. Anka Daily News reports. Images from the Kursk front, where the Russia-Ukraine war is in full swing, bear the traces of an operation that could change the course of the war. The Ukrainian army had destroyed an attack group of a Russian naval brigade notorious for its grave war crimes. The 95th Brigade of the Ukrainian Air Assault Forces has neutralized an elite unit of the 155th Marine Brigade of Russia's Pacific Fleet, making a major success on the front line. The repercussions of this critical operation were not limited to the front line, but also deeply shook Moscow's leadership. Footage recorded by Ukrainian soldiers and drones showed Russian armored vehicles engulfed in flames, buildings in ruin, and clashes in full fury. While the sharp gunfire heard in the video reveals how intense the conflict was, it's understood that the Russian forces couldn't find a way to escape as a result of the ambush set up by the Ukrainian army in the region. While one of Russia's most prestigious units was destroyed in this ambush in Kursk, it seems that the impact of the conflict will be felt for a long time. According to Ukrainian intelligence, the destroyed Russian unit was known not only for its military but also for its unethical activities. Allegedly, this unit of the 155th Marine Brigade was directly involved in the massacre of civilians in areas such as Bucha, Irpin, and Gostomel. Members of this brigade reportedly didn't hesitate to mistreat prisoners and openly violate the laws of war. In a statement released after the attack, the Ukrainian Air Assault Force confirmed that all targets of the operation had been successfully neutralized. The Ukrainian source said A Ukrainian source has said after the operation, these were scoundrels who enjoyed demonstrating their achievements, such as torturing prisoners and executing Ukrainian soldiers. This brigade of the Pacific Fleet represented one of the darkest phases of the war. Trapped on the battlefield, its members sought to surrender but were unable to do so. The Ukrainian side emphasized that prisoners captured during the conflict must be protected under the law of war. Ukrainian officials say that Russian forces are systematically violating international law and committing war crimes. A source explained the situation as follows. Prisoners are protected by the laws of war recognized worldwide, namely the Geneva Conventions, but Russian forces are ignoring and cynically violating these conventions. These statements are intended to show not only the military aspect of Ukraine's operations, but also their ethics. This operation in Kursk has reopened the legal dimensions of warfare to debate and has once again drawn the attention of the international community to the issue of war crimes. This major loss on the Kursk front came as a serious shock to Moscow's leadership. The destruction of the 155th Marine Brigade, considered to be one of Russia's most elite units, may lead to the Kremlin's reconsideration of military strategies. This loss is considered not only as a military failure, but also as a blow to morale of the Russian army. How Russia will respond after this development in the Kursk region is a matter of great curiosity. Moscow may plan new operations to compensate for this loss and regain control of the front. However, the loss of such an important unit has raised big questions regarding the capacity of the Russian army, both on the field and in the public opinion. Ukraine's successful operation in Kursk could seriously affect the course of the war. The fact that even Russia's vaunted elite troops are unraveling in the face of the Ukrainian army shows how effective Kyiv's strategic moves have been. The victory in Kursk gave Ukraine not only a military but also a psychological advantage. This may pave the way for bolder and more comprehensive operations by the Ukrainian army in the coming days. On the other hand, what Russia will do after this loss is critical for the future of the war. Having suffered such a heavy blow in a strategic area like Kursk, the Russian army may be forced to develop new and more radical strategies on the ground. Otherwise, the momentum gained by Ukraine could spill over to other fronts of the conflict and completely change the course of the war. The devastating operation in Kursk demonstrated not only Ukraine's military capacity, but also its mastery of strategies. The destruction of a prestigious unit of the Russian army has seriously shaken Moscow's war plans and marks a period in which Ukraine has gained the psychological upper hand. We'll see the repercussions of this development more clearly in the coming days. Throughout this process of changing the balance in Kursk, one of the most critical fronts of the war, Moscow's steps will be carefully monitored. What do you think? Do you think the destruction of the Russian teams is a great success for Ukraine? Will this success have a corrosive effect on the Russian army? Let us know in the comments. We read and care about your opinions.